Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another installment in the Teaching and Learning with Mobile Technology Summer Vodcast series. My name's Rob Power. I am with the International Association for Mobile Learning, and I'm an adjunct professor of educational technology with the University of Ontario Institute of Technology. And today I'm here with Geoff Stead from Cambridge English, and we're going to be talking about user interface considerations for mobile learning. Welcome, Geoff. A little bit of audio difficulty there for a moment, but we'll jump right in and welcome Geoff again. Geoff, can you give us an idea of how user interface can affect mobile learning? How does it impact mobile learning? Are there any particular constraints or benefits to the user interface of mobile technology on mobile learners?
You're suddenly starting to break up, Rob. Are you hearing my voice all right at the moment?
Yes, we're hearing you, Geoff.
All right. So it's it seems like an obvious question, well or not, will make a difference in learning. The real thing is it's all about context. So it's about the context of use. You can have a bad interface, and if enough people really want to use it, that's fine. You can have a beautiful interface, but if your content isn't in any way desirable, it's not just the techniques for doing a good interface, it's actually why it at the first. When we think about that, quite often we're thinking about designing something that they actually need, or so before would get it at the need, thinking about the things that mobile devices do best. So for us, actually, we start with the context of use and trying to build out from what the learner wants. So it does make a massive impact, and it's not design or a UX making sure it works for the user problem.
All right, Geoff, can you tell us, what do we mean when we talk about first instructional design, and how does that concept impact designing for mobile learning experiences?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to say that again. I got halfway through that. What do we mean about? Did you say?
What do we mean about
design? What you were saying?
Yeah. Mobile first instructional design. How does that concept impact on designing for mobile learning interfaces?
All right. When you design a website, they mean something quite specific. They tend to be talking about responsive website design. They tend to be talking about designing a website that shrinks and resizes and fits a small device. But that's a narrative. What we tend to mean when we're thinking about that is optimizing for all devices. So it's not just about flexing it to a screen size, it's about making sure it runs on lots of devices. So let me give you an example. Are you still hearing me all right?
Yes, we are. No, we seem to have lost you again there now, Geoff, though.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And my apologies to our audience about our audio difficulties today, but Geoff, if you want to address the question again.
I'll turn my camera off. All right.
Okay, so Geoff, we're still here. Do you want to let us know what we mean by mobile first instructional design and how that concept impacts designing for mobile learning interfaces?
Sure. So what I was saying was that quite often when people talk about mobile first design, you're hearing website designers talking about that, and they specifically meaning responsive design of the web pages. So more or less the same content, but laying out differently for different screen sizes. And this is a really good thing because you should be beyond screen sizes. You shouldn't be constraining to screen size. But actually, that's only the first step in the journey. Really, if you're designing for mobile first, you kind of want to be optimizing for different devices. So a good example for this would be maybe a video learning app. So I have some sort of, maybe there's a website like Big Think or something like that, which has a lot of videos and content around the videos. And on the website, you would have the full experience with everything. On a tablet, you might have a similar experience, but perhaps smaller bandwidth version of the videos. And on a mobile device, you would trim down and only show you one video at a time in a much thinner bandwidth version. But the mobile device might have some local notes that you could, note-taking app, you could be making notes about the videos. And that app is a local app on the local device, but it's syncing with the web. So if you go into the web, you would see your same notes. So it's actually, and maybe the mobile device would have some notifications built in, so you can set yourself goals and targets that remind you if you're on the big device. So I guess it's sort of device optimized. It's coming up with a model where you're not thinking of the same content and pushing the same content to every device, but you have the content and then you find a device perfect content that you might be accessing and maybe some device specific features. So that's sort of device optimized. So you start, responsive is the first step in this journey, which is same content, just resizing. And then device optimized is thinking about video that streams to different bandwidth and local apps on the device that interface with the website.
Geoff, what advice would you give to help teachers or instructional designers to help make sure that their mobile learning resources are as accessible as possible to the widest range of users?
So the first one's the most obvious one. People always talk about this, and this is granular, sort of small chunks. Make sure your content is in small pieces that you can reuse and that you can deploy differently in different ways. The second one is a slightly more provocative one, and it's strip out the pedagogy. So this may take some explaining, but if you think about classic e-learning course type content, the pedagogy is woven into the content. So as part of the designing the course, you're deciding when to reveal the next piece of content, the steps that the user needs to have mastered first before they move on to the next one. So the navigation of the course somehow embeds the pedagogy. And that doesn't work very well on mobile. You can do it, but it doesn't really work very well. So what better is to almost strip the pedagogy out, surface the content in small, easy to search, easy to find nuggets. And then you re-add the pedagogy in how you talk to your students or how you encourage them to use it or how you give them tasks. So you separate out the kind of these small nuggets of content from the pedagogy, which is often sort of baked into the way it's navigated. So strip out the pedagogy would be a second one. The third one is multiple devices. However you think people are going to be using it, they'll be using it in different ways on different devices, different platforms. So don't focus on smartphone or don't focus on iPhone. Don't focus on a particular screen size. Don't focus on a context. They might be at home. They might be in a bus. So make sure you've gone beyond narrowing what you're targeting, the devices you're targeting. Next one, social. Embrace social. It's I can't state enough how much extra power you add to your content if you allow your users to share a particular piece of content. So you're halfway through some kind of course nugget, you really like it, you want to share it with your buddy, make it trivial to share that one. Make it trivial for their buddy to click a link and jump into that spot. Make it easier to recommend or like or rate or add comments to pieces of content. Encourage that. We've had great success in apps that allow you to curate other people's content. So anything like that is a good thing because you're making use of social. And the final one is be where your learners are. So we used to focus a lot on building our own apps for everything or our own sites for everything. And we still do that sometimes. But increasingly, we're starting to use other channels or other platforms, a YouTube channel, WeChat in China, WhatsApp, using WhatsApp, taking a channel and putting content into that. Facebook. At the moment, I'm at Cambridge University and we do some English language learning. We have a Facebook group with 4 million users on it, all logging in to learn English, and we're posting English language content into it. So just trying to be where your learners are. I guess those would be my advice. I'll type them into the chat as you ask me the next question.
All right, Geoff, we've heard a lot of talk over the past few years about the differences between ways of actually accessing mobile content and pushing it out to mobile users. Can you tell us just a little bit about what the differences are between native and web-based apps, and whether or not one particular type of interface has any clear benefits over another in terms of designing and delivering mobile learning content?
So this is one of these highly charged debates that people approach with religious-like zeal. I am a firm believer in all of it, to be honest. So when we were working in enterprise learning, internal learning for big corporates, I would say definitely start with web-based, maybe even a hybrid solution. Only go native if you really need to. If you're making an app that you're trying to sell, if you're trying to make money from it, I would encourage you to go native and build the app natively. If you want to make use of native features on the phone, you probably want to go native apps. So unfortunately, it's not black and white. Typically, it's much cheaper to create and much cheaper to update mobile web. So I would, wherever possible, I would do mobile web first.
All right, Geoff, how do you see mobile learning user interfaces evolving or changing over the next few years?
So a couple of good ones. In-app search. So you might have spotted increasingly it's possible to search on your phone and it finds content inside other apps. It's sort of still a bit emerging, and some phones allow it, some don't, some apps allow it. But increasingly it's possible to be in an app or on your phone and search, and it's searching inside other apps. Now think about how that starts changing how you find things. You wouldn't go to the app and navigate to find the information about a particular piece of content. You'll go to the phone's native search and look, and it will search inside the app and find it. So you need to be making sure your content advertises itself to the phone generally. So add voice search onto that. You know, Siri, you can ask Siri and Siri searched your phone already. But would it be searching your content in the app on the phone? Probably not, unless you particularly surface that. So I think sort of voice controls, in-app search, the ability of other apps to be crawling inside your mobile content and finding it, and how important it is to surface your content up. So I think that changes the interface a bit, because it basically means the user doesn't use your interface. They dive straight into the piece of content. More devices. So smartwatches, goggles, other things that talk to your phone, or other things that you're surfacing your content into. Again, that just challenges your idea of controlling all of the content. Instead, you're just surfacing up bits of it. AR, Pokemon Go, things that other ways of diving into a very specific piece of content. So if you're anything like Cambridge at the moment, it's full of late teenagers hanging around on street corners with their phones playing Pokemon Go and sort of challenging each other to games at the various Pokemon gyms that you get on in bits of the city. And that's, mobile learning can be there, right? It's just about making sure your content can surface out into other apps. So yeah, those would be the things that I think are changing.
Oh, thank you for that, Geoff. Are there any other issues related to the user interface for mobile learning that you'd like to address or pass along to our viewers before we wrap up?
So the main thing is just a call to arms to start from the device. Don't start from the learning. So if you've got some subject area, you're trying to create some mobile learning content, start from what the device does best. Does notifications, records your voice, lets you communicate with people, lets you access web content on the go. Start from that and try and build on what it does best, rather than being too hung up in the structure of an existing course or the structure of the knowledge. So that can often be a burden. So that would be my first bit. And following on from that, when you've got an idea, test it out, user experience, run trials, build a prototype, use some of the many good free tools to prototype it and let people practice it and put it in front of learners and get their feedback. Because invariably, a lot of the ideas that you start with actually aren't that useful for mobile learners, but by doing lots of iterations and asking them the question, you'll get the feedback before you've spent the effort to build it.
All right, well, thank you very much for all your insight there, Geoff. And I do apologize again to our viewers for our video difficulties today. But thank you for joining us, Geoff Stead from Cambridge English, talking about user interface considerations for mobile learning. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.